Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is the final lesson of Unit 3, Rational Numbers. Today we're going to be tackling adding and subtracting unlike fractions. So this is probably the toughest topic. It takes a little bit of time to do each of these problems, usually, not always. But unlike fractions are fractions that do not have the same denominator. So when you have fractions that don't have the same denominator, you cannot add or subtract them until you find a common denominator, okay? So when we're doing these, what you have to do is look and find out the lowest common denominator, the LCD. You can find a quick common denominator, which we can talk about as well. I'll show you both of those. My first question is always, can my little denominator become a big denominator? In this case, 4 cannot become 6. Over here, 7 can become 14, so that would be nice over here when we get to that problem. The quick common denominator is what you do is you just take the two denominators and multiply them. 4 times 6 is 24, and you can turn these both to 24s. However, when you do that, sometimes you have to do extra reducing in the end. So my recommendation is not always do that, just to check to see if you can find the least common denominator first. 6 and 4, check with the bigger number first. So the next multiple of 6 is 12. Can 4 become 12? And yes, it can. So what we're going to do is we're going to double this fraction, take that times 2. Take this fraction times 3 to get it to be 12. So this whole fraction, if I double it, I get 2 12s. Top and bottom get multiplied by 2. This whole fraction, if I take it and I triple it, you get 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. That looks like a 6. Okay. Now that we have common denominators, just like last screencast, we add them. 2 plus 9 is 11 12ths. Check to see if I can reduce, and I cannot. Now, like I said before in the video, what I can do is sometimes my little fraction can become my big fraction, my big denominator. My little denominator can become my big denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 7 and I'm going to double this whole fraction. And I'm going to leave this fraction alone. So if I double this, this becomes 4 sevenths. I'm just going to add it, 4 14ths rather, sorry. 2 times 2 is 4, so 2 times 7 is 14. 3 plus 4 is 7 14ths. Once again, I'm going to check to see, can I reduce it? And this time I can. 7 14ths reduces to 1/2, divisible by 7. Same basic principle here. These can become tenths. These can become 24ths. Okay, so I would triple this fraction. I would double this fraction, then add them together and check to see if I can reduce. Now, when you get into mixed numbers, when you get into negatives, you got to be a little more careful. So with mixed numbers, I always recommend you can do it without making them improper, but I always recommend making them improper just to be safe. So first, make it improper. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15 fourths. Then once you have it in that form, now you find the common denominator. So I'm going to count by 14 because 4 cannot become 14. So 28, can 4 become 28? Yes. I'm going to double this whole fraction. I'm going to take this whole fraction times 7. Sometimes people write it as a fraction, so 7 times 7 over 7, 2 over 2. That's a great way to write it as well. Okay, so 7 times 15 is 105 over 28. If I double this fraction, you get 10 over 28. Add them together, I get 115 over 28. 28 goes into 115 4 times with 3 left over, and I cannot reduce that, so that is done. Now, when you get into negatives, what you want to do is to be careful. Let's go over to this example. You want to be careful once again. Make it improper. You get 15 plus 3 is 18. That's 24 plus 5 is 29. Now, notice I'm putting the negative with the numerator, not the denominator. It's not wrong to put it with the denominator, but in the end, we're not adding the denominators, we're adding the numerators, so that's why we give it to the negative on the top. So what we're going to do is common denominator is, in this case, is the quick common denominator. 5 times 6 is 30. So we're going to take this whole thing times 5 times, sorry, this is times 6. This is times 5. Okay, so 30ths. Okay, I'm out of screen over there, so let's cross this off. Let's go over here. 30ths, 30th.